My name is Juliana Chia. I am a program officer for FMDV based in Kampala, Uganda, and I'm very happy to be here today and to be moderating this webinar on smart tourism. So welcome again, everyone, to the fourth session of the EU ASEAN Thematic webinar organized as part of the Smart Green ASEAN Cities Programme. This program that we refer to as SGAC is an initiative funded by the European Union, supported by the ASEAN Secretariat, and implemented by the UN Capital Development Fund, UNCDF, in partnership with the Global Fund for Cities Development, or FMDB. Now, this program has been designed as a catalytic initiative to support the financing of sustainable urbanization across ASEAN member states, especially in middleweight cities, to develop viable financing mechanisms for smart green city projects. There are 15 cities currently participating in the program. So through this webinar series, we hope to offer you opportunities to explore a wider spectrum of innovative approaches, as well as to connect with like-minded peers and practitioners, and to learn and possibly adopt some of these best practices that we come to learn about. So although there are many opportunities in climate investment, we acknowledge that the technological, and financing solutions available on the market can vary significantly from one sector to another. In this regard, since December, we have hosted 3 sector-focused webinars. The first one was on waste management, the second was on water and wastewater, and the third was on smart mobility. You may watch the recording of the past webinars through our Pakuru platform, and these webinars are also available in 5 languages: English, Thai, Indonesian, Lao, and Khmer. So for today's webinar, the focus is on smart and sustainable tourism. Why is smart and sustainable tourism so important, especially in the ASEAN region? So just to give you a few general statistics and points, tourism is a key economic driver in the region, contributing 12.1% to Southeast Asia's GDP, and it also employs 42 million workers, predominantly women in small and medium-sized enterprises. Despite the positive economic impacts that the sector brings, environmental impacts also need to be considered. The link between the tourism sector and climate change is complex. It is difficult for the tourism sector to grow without contributing to the negative effects of climate change. These negative effects of climate change will in turn hamper tourism growth. High-intensity tourism places stress on public infrastructure and services, leading to environmental degradation and dissatisfaction among residents. Pre-pandemic, tourism contributed for between 8 to 11% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
We would like to continue. So tourism also suffered the greatest crisis on the record during the COVID-19 pandemic. Travel and tourism contribution to Southeast Asia GDP fell by 53% in 2020. And before we proceed, we would like to hear your thought first on the biggest challenges cities face in funding and financing smart and sustainable tourism. So we are going to launch the poll to actually see what's participants' perspective towards the biggest challenges in terms of financing smart and sustainable tourism. Juliana, are you back?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Sorry
yes.
about that. I was disconnected.
It's okay. Okay, now I'm going to launch the poll, Juliana. So maybe after that you launch. Okay. Now I'm getting back to Juliana. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And just in case I get cut off again, I'm so sorry. I think it's an internet connectivity issue today. Yes, as Denise mentioned and has already launched a poll, we would like to hear your thoughts on what you think are the biggest challenges cities face in funding and financing smart and sustainable tourism. Okay, we have some results in. To 10 seconds more for. Okay, so we have the top two choices that participants selected as the biggest challenges for cities are the inadequate budget allocation from public authorities, as well as the difficulty in measuring impacts due to fragmented data. Just for information, in our last 3 webinars, we also had the option of inadequate budget allocation as the main challenge that participants thought were for the different sectoral themes. So that's interesting to hear from everyone. Thank you for your participation. To identify the challenges and innovative solutions from cities, we have today an exciting lineup of speakers presenting 3 cities from the European region, effective approaches to finance their smart and sustainable tourism projects. Following these presentations, we will have a sectoral expert with us who will provide broader perspective and highlight best practices and enabling conditions that could be replicated or where cities can take inspiration from in different geographies and different cities. So we have 4 speakers with us today, and today we have Mr. Jaume Mata, Head of Sustainable Tourism, Visit Valencia, Spain. We also have Mr. Yanuarto Bramuda, Head of Culture and Tourism Service of Banyuwangi in Indonesia. Then we have Mr. Yanger Bacha, Deputy Director of Luang Prabang City Administrative Office. Finally, we have Mr. Trevor Weltman, Partner at Clickable Impact. So we're going to move on to our first presentation from our city representative. The first presentation will be Mata. Mr. Jaume has more than 25 years of experience in tourism planning, marketing, and communication. He coordinates the Sustainable Destination Strategy of Valencia, which was also the 2022 European Capital of Smart Tourism. Valencia is the first city to quantify and certify its tourism activities, as well as carbon and water footprint. So Mr. Jaume, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you, Julia. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Right, good. Good morning to everybody. Good morning from Spain, from the Mediterranean coast of Spain, here in Europe. I'd like to thank you for inviting us to share our experience or our vision on how we approach to this sustainable tourism and how we very quickly how we could engage in these programs, these projects. Some of them I'll show you, and how we got the financing framework for them. Can you go ahead, please? Yeah. Well, first of all, as a bit of context, Valencia, we are a medium city, European city here in the Mediterranean coast of Spain. We are the 3rd city of Spain, and we have around 1.5 million inhabitants in all the metropolitan area. These are, a bit outdated dates, but we have this information system, and I mean, in terms of tourism, we are growing steadily from since the 90s, and now we are amongst the 25 most important urban destinations in Europe. We have we finished the last year with more than 5 million bed nights, and the combination is around 60% come from abroad and 40% of nationals. Please. Who we are? We are a foundation. We are a public-private foundation the president is the mayor of the city, the mayoress, lady mayoress now, and we have with us in our bodies, in our governing bodies and financing, we've got the Chamber of Commerce, the Confederation, of companies and businesses, and around 400 companies belonging to this all this multi-sector in tourism and in the city. Go ahead. And we are here to talk about sustainability. Well, we draft our strategic plans every 4-5 years. So in the year 16, we decided to really include tourism as one of the main pillars for our new strategy. So we started building these lines of action and to try to understand the market, to understand our destination, and what were the trends that we had to face, and how this environment is changing and how could impact on our activity. Next, please. So we are working on this smart tourism model, a Spanish model, which has these 5 factors. And the green one is the sustainability. It includes the blue one, which is, you can see in the picture, well, this is just a model, the accessibility. So that's why we said, okay, we have to really work on it. Next. And having very clear objectives. First is we have to be aligned. We have to contribute to the sustainable development goals of the city. We are part of the city. We are part of the strategic life of our community. But we have to be competitive, both the public and the private sector, which is very important, one and the other. And by doing this, we have to manage and try to balance all these tourism impacts that we're growing together with the activity. Next. And the city has been also drafting this new strategy, this urban strategy, Valencia 2030, where again, as all of us, we are looking at the future, and they included this in this urban strategy sustainability as one of the pillars. Next. And they stated these 6 looks, who we are. No, we are healthy, entrepreneurial, creative, shared, Mediterranean, but also sustainable city. So tourism being part of it, being part of this strategic future of the city had to be aligned. Next, with these 6 looks. And they started focusing on how they called missions. The strategy is mission oriented according to the European Commission strategy. So let's select some missions where to focus our efforts on resources, etc. Next. And the main one, first one, was agreed by all the groups, was the climate mission. Valencia wants to become a climate neutral city according to the European standards that are selecting these 100 European cities to be the lighthouse. Next. So that's why, to be aligned and to fit on this urban strategy on our community's desires, we had to start measuring, getting indicators and getting data, as you said on your poll. So we chose different indicators that are existing. For instance, we have the European system of tourism indicators. We've got the indicators designed by the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, and also some European and national on ISO standards. So we combine all of them. Next. And we picked to start with this European tourism indicator system, which is available on the website by the European Commission, and in working on some projects to focus on how to get them, how to apply them with all the cities. Next. And also how to measure the flow charts on the city, where the people is now located, or where are the main spots visited by them. Next. And well, so if the first mission was the climate neutral city, we had to do something with that from tourism. Next. So we next place. So we signed the Glasgow Declaration of the World Tourism Organization. We recommend you to read it and try to sign it, because it's a commitment that we have to fill, and it's a roadmap to enlighten the way we have ahead, and to give it to our administration and to all our stakeholders how to do it. So we engage on that. Next, please. Yeah. And the first case, well, we got this project with a public company, which is Global Omnium, which is located in Valencia, but it's an international company, how to measure the water and carbon footprint. So next. So we could, with this public-private partnership, introduce this new methodology, which is an ISO. It's not a secret. It's a public. And we measured the scopes, charters, and we even made these pilot tests on the conference center and the aquarium. Next. We had these results. All these documents are published in our website. You can get it. And well, we had the clear map of where it's important to focus, where the emissions or the water uses are more focused. So where we have to work on it to improve and to reduce and to balance. Next. And well, and that's why I think we are here. We were one of the reasons we were recognized by the WTO. Also for the G20 was one of the recommendations. Well, it's example. It's just as a business case. It can be done. It's our message. It can be done. There are different methodologies. We chose this the international standard, but it can be done. So we have this map, and we can address the proper work. Next. And with that, for instance, the city has been doing this project. It's financed by the regional government and the local government. This project is local sustainable business. It's addressed to the SMEs, and it gave last year, and it's going ahead for 2 years. Up to 3,000 companies will get this audit on the energy efficiency, how to reduce it, how to reduce their emission, etc., how to become more competitive. Next. And going ahead, we include all this in our Sustainable Tourism Destination Plan, which is financed by this European framework, which is the Next Generation Fund. We submitted it to the Spanish government and was approved, and we are now developing this plan, which is almost 8 million euros for these different green transition, energy efficiency, also digitalize services, and create a better governance. Next. And one of the examples I have here for you is, well, we did this new assessment on risk that the climate change will affect, how it will affect our tourism sector and our city, obviously. So we are trying to get some light on the future because of the climate change, which, for instance, now we are a severe drought. We have a lack of water. Well, this is one of the cases we have seen here in the map. Next. And well, and that's why all these cases made possible that we were chosen and we were awarded as the European Smart Tourism Capital last year, and now this year we have the European Green Capital. It's the first time that the Mediterranean city is a green capital, so it's a challenge for us and it recognizes the effort and the change that the city has done thanks to the social involvement, how we are trying to change our real life and our future. Next. So that said, I had this time available for me. And well, you can look at our website. All this information is there, and you can ask me whatever you need. And thanks for inviting us again. And well, let's listen the other good examples that you have there in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jaume, for that presentation on Valencia. It seems like the city is very advanced in the development of it in a sustainable way, which is very encouraging for all the participants here with us today. So thanks once again for your presentation. And now, shifting to the ASEAN region, we are happy to invite Mr. Yanuarto Bramuda, Head of Culture and Tourism Service of Banyuwangi in Indonesia. Mr. Bramuda is an inspirational figure from Banyuwangi Regency. Banyuwangi is one of Indonesia's priority tourism destinations and has received many local, national, and international awards, including the World Champion title in Public Policy Innovation and Governance in the tourism sector at the 12th UN World Tourism Organization Awards for Excellence and Innovation in Tourism in 2016. To all our participants, please note that the next presentation will be in Bahasa Indonesia. So if you would like to listen to the presentation in English, please select the English interpretation channel. If you have any difficulties, please send a chat message to any FMDB team member. So if you are listening for the English channel, please click on the three dots that should be at the bottom of your screen, and you can click on interpretation and then click on the English channel, please. So again, if you have any issues, please send a message to the FMDB team. Thank you.
So good afternoon, greetings to all of you. Now I would like to give a presentation on Banyuwangi. The topic is community-based tourism in Banyuwangi Regency. Next. So Banyuwangi is a city at the tip of Java Island that borders Bali Island. It has a lot of potentials, for example, culture and also arts. One of the most destinations is Triangle Diamond, which has so much attraction, one of which is the beauty of Ijen Mountain. Mount Ijen has blue fire, and this is the only one in the world. Second, it's Chilean. Chilean has the second highest tide there after Hawaii. And the third one is Sukamade. Sukamade is a national park where there are turtles that hatch every day. And it's been recorded that there are 7 species of turtles that have hatched here. And all of these are in the national parks. The impact of the existence of national parks is so little. So the role of the subnational government with this tourism destinations like Blue Fire of Ijen, surfing of Chilean, and also Sukamade, we have strategies to give economic impact to the community. So that's why we created hinterland tourism destinations between the first, second, and third clusters. Ijen, as the main destination in Banyuwangi, has supporting villages. We call them hinterland. There are Tamansari, Jagir, Joguru, Kemiren, and so on and so forth. The second cluster of Alas Purwo, there is Muncar, Banyu Biru, Decawatan, Kampung Primitif, Mangrove Bedul, and so on and so forth. The third cluster, Sukomade, has several destinations like Mustika Beach, Wedi Ireng, Teluk Ijo, Sukamade, Karo, temples, and also others. So in this hinterland, the one that we created, this is something that we are developing so that the community members can get the impact of the tourism development in Banyuwangi. Banyuwangi prioritizes the development concept with local wisdom. So we have a group called Pokdarwis, yeah, or Kelompok Sadar Wisata, or translated into tourism awareness group, yeah. So not only does the government get the benefits from tourism, but the community members can also get the benefits of tourism. We can see in the pictures, we have rafting, underwater activities, culinary activities, and also other local arts in Banyuwangi. These activities are all community-based. It means that community members are empowered in their own city or area. So tourism, which is community-based, is something that we are strengthening in Banyuwangi right now. So another policy is to restrict the number of hotels in Banyuwangi. This is done so that community members at the grassroots level can also enjoy the benefits of tourism. Yeah? So that's why some homestays have been built by community members, yeah, like Mikasa Homestay, Didus Homestay, and these homestays get the benefits if the hotels are fully booked. Yeah, so these homestays will receive some guests. Yeah, so the tourists can stay in this homestays. Yeah, so this is a policy from the subnational government, so that the local people can also gain the benefits of tourism. Besides the construction and development of homestays and also destinations, we are also focused on attractions. So local attractions will encourage local investors to hold performances, yeah, like art performances, yeah. If people stay for a long time in Banyuwangi, they can watch the traditional performances, the cultural performances, and they can enjoy their holiday. We also have a festival called Banyuwangi Festival. In a year, at least there are 50 art and cultural performances that we hold, that we have, so that the tourists can enjoy the festivals. These festivals are cultural festivals. Most of them are cultural festivals. There are also sport and tourism festivals, music festivals, SEs festivals, surfing, film, marathon, cycling. So we present this all to tourists so that they can enjoy the view and also the attractions and also the entertainment in Banyuwangi. And this is all free. Yeah? And besides that, we have also encouraged some attractions at the local level. We have Ngopi 10 Ewu, Seblang Oleh Sari, Petik Laut Muncar, and others. These are all parts of the transformation of local culture to become tourist attractions. So it is how we can make these unique cultural performances to be enjoyed by tourists. So we encourage this to be tourist attractions so that tourists who come to Banyuwangi can enjoy these festivals. So there are also some events that we conduct, yeah? For example, a lobster festival, Oling festival as well, and Sidat festival. So this is also interesting. And there's also Cacao Festival, Dragon Fruit Festival, Durian Festival. So this is carried out to explore local products so that local products can become souvenirs for tourists. So if you go to Banyuwangi, it is not complete if you do not taste the local cuisine and also enjoy the local entertainment, the local culture, and also art like sports and also tourism as well. One of the festivals is Gandrung Sewu Festival. It's a colossal dance which has a minimum of 1,000 dancers. They dance by the Marina Beach, and tourists who come during this festival, it can reach like 25,000 visitors, and the flow of money could reach 7 billion rupees. So yeah, it's amazing. So that these cultural and art performances that become our strength, Banyuwangi's icon, which is Gandrung, is held every year in order to move the economy, and also the tourists can enjoy the Gandrung dance as well. And we also showcase some SMSE's products, so tourists or visitors can buy these products, these local products. This is an exhibition of our SMSE's products. So the products can be purchased by visitors who come to Banyuwangi. Yeah, so based on what I have shared with you, there have been a lot of economic impacts. So the number of our domestic tourists increased significantly. In 2014, it was just 1.4 million. Now it is more than 3 million. And also foreign tourists also showed some significant increase. And Banyuwangi is also one of the areas that has excellent flow of money. So our income per capita has reached 43.87 million rupees per person per year. So our district or regency is one of the best in East Java. And our gross regional domestic product has also increased significantly, and the poverty rate has reduced with the strategies in tourism. And in 2016, we were awarded by UNWTO. We won in the category of public policy, innovation, and governance in the field of tourism. So because our policies sided with the communities. And then we received a prize of almost 20 billion rupees, and we were promoted in some locations like Russia, USA, Belgium, Australia, and Germany. And Banyuwangi, the promotion was really excellent at that time, so that we got some highlight from there. And Banyuwangi was also declared champion of the highest performing government in Indonesia. And also our district or regency was awarded the most innovative district in Indonesia. And with these achievements, Banyuwangi has been chosen as the best district in Indonesia. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bermuda. I'm going to switch back to the main channel. So if you'd like to join me there in the original audio, please do so as well. Thank you once again, Mr. Bermuda, for your presentation. It's really good to see local communities getting involved in building the tourism sector together with Banyuwangi City. I personally haven't been to Banyuwangi before, but it's great to hear that there are festivals happening around some of my favorite fruits that you have mentioned, the dragon fruit and the durian. And continuing in the ASEAN region, I'm happy to invite Mr. Yanger Vacha, Deputy Director of Luang Prabang City Administrative Office. Mr. Vacha also serves as the coordinator for Luang Prabang City to the ASEAN Smart Cities Network and is also the coordinator of Laos City to the Southeast Asian AIMF Member Cities Network. Luang Prabang was awarded the ASEAN Sustainable Tourism Award in 2018. As a leading tourism destination in ASEAN, the city faces a surge in tourists and is planning to implement smart city solutions to promote sustainable urban and tourism development. Mr. Vacha, the floor is now yours, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me share my screen first. So hope you see my screen. Good afternoon from Laos, Luang Prabang City. I start with some introduction about myself. I am Mr. Yanger Vacha from Luang Prabang City in charge of international cooperation and also smart city coordination to the ASEAN Smart City Networks. I complete my study in Vietnam and also in AIT Thailand and UNESCO IHC in the Netherlands. Then
Sorry,
now,
can I interrupt you here, Mr. Vacha? If you could put your presentation in full screen mode, that would be useful. It's the small button at the
full
bottom
screen,
of
right?
your screen.
Okay.
In
So
presentation
this
mode.
this pictures is Luang Prabang City, the heritage site. So some information of the city, like in the screens, the area of the city about 700 square kilometer, population about 100,000, covering 115 villages, in which the urban area about 65 villages, in which 33 villages are heritage sites. So, like you see this map, there is a boundary of the heritage sites and boundary of the buffer zone. So, the city centers mainly in the buffer zone area. Actually, this city is the former capital of Laos before, and now it's the heritage site and the tourism destination for international tourists. And also serve as central of the province and central of the northern region of Laos. Since 2018, Luang Prabang City became a member of the ASEAN Smart City Network, and also the International French-Speaking Mayors Association. Currently, the city have established with sister cities with 16 cities in the world. Population projection of the city, you see here, in 2035, 35 will be about more than 115,000 people. For the economic sectors and jobs of the city, you see in the graphic, about 60% from tourism service. Other 22% from agriculture and 18% from industry. So Luang Prabang have many infrastructures advantages. In that, we have international airport with many flights from to other countries, neighbor countries. And we also have the railway station, high-speed railway stations in the city. National roads and Mekong River also passed the city center. For tourism, there are many activities of tourism in the city of Luang Prabang. Not only natural, but also culture, festival like mountains. So there are about currently in 2023, there are about 1 million visitors, in which more than 700 foreign visitors came to Luang Prabang. Estimated expenditures from tourists about 500 million USD. So if you enter to the website of Luang Prabang city, you will see many activities of tourism in the city. Like you see the things to do in Luang Prabang, there are many activities, not only culture, history, religion, but also like nature, tourism, shopping, and many activities in the city. So that's general information of the city. Now I will go next with the strategy that created by ASEAN Australia Smart City Trust Fund, which call Luang Prabang Smart and Integrated Luang Prabang strategy that we have just finished a few months ago. So from the study of the strategy showed that there are several issues occurring in the cities, like solid waste and wastewater increasing discharge to the natural river and ponds. Second, traffic congestion, because we have the railway station. Many tourists travel by railway, so we now apply the minibus one to get the tourists and to take the tourists to the railway stations, and many congestion in the city due to this minibus. And some place of the tourism site also very crowded. Out of that, we still get some issues in terms of urbanization, which impact the heritage site. Here is the graphics to show how we project the tourist visitors will grow in the future. So we estimated about 3 million visitors per year in 2040. So it will need more land, more space, more hotel, guest house need to accommodate, facilitate for this number of visitors. So the strategy carry out that there are some strengths and weaknesses and opportunities in the city in terms of smart urban and tourism development. Like you see here, the strengths, we are the UNESCO heritage site and have some basics infrastructure service, and urban management have the basics in governance. But we also have some weakness, like we lack capacity and resources in insufficient urban infrastructure service, rapid urbanization in the city, and also some planning gaps, fragmented decision making. However, we have some opportunities that now we have the Lao China high-speed railways that can boost the increasing of the number of the tourists from many countries, many provinces. So the overview of the Dohamba Smart Integrated Urban Strategy. The strategy built to get the ambition of the city of Dohamba, which is have a vision to be a livable heritage city for all people. So there are three main strategies pillars. First is integrated tourism and heritage destination. Second, clean, safe environment. And third, sustainable village. And 15 minutes city. So I will now focus on the first pillar, integrated tourism and heritage destination. So how we do for that? For this pillar, we hope to have a vibrant, sustainable tourism destination, highlighting and supporting unique, beauty, natural and intangible cultural heritage and local culture people. So there are several strategies to get that. Like first, we need to integrate the policy and planning in terms of heritage and tourism. Second, manage and monitor the heritage and tourism activity and disperse visitors, commerce activities beyond the heritage sites and build financial resilience to between the tourism and the heritage. So with that, we carry out with three strategic objectives and 5 activities and many projects. So like I show here some potential pilot project for develop the smart tourism management. Like in the Pusi is the central of the city. That's a very interesting place with many tourists in the evening. So by the survey, there are many tourists in the mountains, very crowded. So the projects have 2 objectives to do that. First, to have the apps to show to the tourists that they can know how many people, how many tourists in the mountain. So then they will know how to buy a ticket to go to the mountains, in which time is best for them. So we need to have the time ticketing system to better control to the mountain. another projects, pilot project, like now we need the heritage signboards with QR code. In the past, we have no any signboards that show the heritage boundary and information when you reach the heritage site. So we think this very important projects. So that's for all I can show you today, because in the short time. So if you need any information further, I can provide you later on. The last message for me is that this year is Visit Lao years. So you can take this year to visit Laos. There are many activities happening in the Lao countries, not only Riverbank, but also any other place in the country. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lau and Luang Prabang. I think, as you mentioned, a live ticketing system to tourist sites can be very useful, especially in a post-pandemic era where we were, during the pandemic, we had to learn how to keep safe distancing measures in mind, and having a system like that where we can track numbers can be very useful for such circumstances. So thanks once again for your presentation. Before we proceed to the presentation by our sectoral expert, we will now be launching the second poll for this webinar, and you may choose multiple answers for this question. So the question is, which approaches do you believe hold the greatest potential for financing smart and sustainable tourism in the ASEAN region? We have a number of responses coming in. I'll just give it 5 to 10 seconds more in case there are any other responses. Okay, I think we have blended finance approaches that the participants think holds the greatest potential for financing smart and sustainable tourism. The second highest rated response was community-based tourism, which is interesting and also encouraging for places like Banyuwangi, where the local community has been very involved so far. So indeed, there is a growing momentum in both the public and private sectors to invest in sustainable tourism. Due to the cross-cutting nature of tourism, investment and financing for sustainable tourism development do not necessarily require the creation of new instruments, but rather we need to better connect tourism projects with available green and other financing instruments. Even small improvements towards greater sustainability in production and consumption patterns will have important and significant impacts. So thanks everyone for participating in the poll, and we're going to move on to the presentation from our sectoral expert. The sectoral expert that we have with us today is Mr. Travelman, partner at Clickable Impact. Clickable Impact Consulting Group is an interdisciplinary consultancy focused on the SDGs. At Clickable Impact, Trevor leads the sustainable tourism development, private sector engagement, and partnership practice groups. Mr. Trevor was the Chief of Staff of the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and he has over a decade of experience in Asia and is currently leading the implementation of smart tourism projects in 6 countries, including Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Trevor, the floor is now yours for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody joining. My name is Trevor Weltman. I'm a partner with Clickable Impact, and we are actually helping support the Asian Development Bank with the implementation of several tourism projects around the Southeast Asia region. So today what I'm here to share is actually more about ADB's knowledge and capacity development support for smart tourism ecosystem development in our region of Southeast Asia. Okay. And so there's 3 topics that I'm going to cover in my speech today. It's funny, I have 10 minutes to cover what I work on day in and day out every single day of the year. So I'm going to try to get a lot of information in, but also make it very practical to the topic at hand. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today are the trends. What is the demand and the challenges driving smart tourism development in our region? Second, I'm going to share the actual approach that we're using on our projects to ensure that the smart tourism development is really being led by the destinations themselves and their needs and their aspirations. And then finally, in part 3, I'm going to share our recommendations for how we can advance smart tourism development in Southeast Asia. The first point that I want to make, though, is just talk a little bit about the Southeast Asia Sustainable Tourism Facility at the Asian Development Bank. So there are several projects under this facility that my firm is working on. The focus, as was mentioned in the introduction of these projects, are Cambodia, Lao PDR, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. And the goal of these projects is to help develop the policies, knowledge, plans, and capacity needed to help foster inclusive and sustainable development in the regional tourism value chain. As you can see, there's 5 work streams that we're doing. And 1 to 3 here, the visa policy, the alternative accommodations, and the smart tourism ecosystems are really levers for raising funds for public management and offering solutions for better tourism management in urban areas. And I also want to point out that the smart tourism elements or the digital elements permeate all of the different work streams that we have under this facility. So digitalization is a key point. Now, when we look at the policies in the region, and now we're getting into those drivers of demand. When we look at the policies in the region at both the ASEAN level as well as the national policies within each of the countries, we see that smart tourism is well represented. Most of the plans actually do not say smart tourism, they actually say digital development or digitalization or adopting digital policies. But we can see that this is a consistent policy priority across our study countries and our work countries. But policy alone is not the key demand driver. Actually, as was pointed out in the introduction, that tourists and the businesses are the primary drivers of demand. The tourists are expecting seamless digital facilitated experiences, and the industry wants digitalization for their operations. They want enhanced ROI, enhanced efficiencies that digitalization can bring. But also digitalization and smart tourism can enhance business models to make them more inclusive and innovative, as well as help us address some of our primary sustainability concerns. On the flip side, though, we have these strong drivers. We also have really compelling challenges in the region. I know that today's webinar is focused on the financing. There is certainly insufficient financing, as well as skills and IT gaps, particularly at the local level. And these restrict the development of smart tourism ecosystems. We have significant digital divides, not only between countries, but between subnational destinations, both primary and secondary destinations, and also, of course, urban and rural. And this restricts the development of smart tourism ecosystems. And then finally, we have fragmentation in the industry when it comes to smart tourism development. This disincentivizes investment, it increases the digital risk, and it also restricts opportunities for cooperation. Now, with that as the context, I'd like to walk this group through the actual approach that we're using, both at the international level and from the ground up, from the grassroots level, to develop smart tourism ecosystems in the region. So as I get into this, if there's any key takeaway I'd like you to have from my presentation today, it's really this slide, and I use this often to frame our work. Realistically speaking, any destination in the world, and especially those in our region, they fall somewhere on the spectrum of digital readiness for smart tourism ecosystem development. Most of the secondary destinations that we work with in our region are really at the 1, 2, or 3 stage of this spectrum. And that's okay. It's okay for a destination to be really anywhere on the spectrum. And therefore, the focus of the projects shouldn't be to go from, a 2 where we're just organizing the information and starting to use digital tools to jump all the way to a 5. It's much more practical and realistic and beneficial for the destination to help identify where are we today, and then what are the steps we can take to move along the spectrum with the end goal of eventually making it all the way to 5, the complex technologies and the super advanced smart technologies. But it's most important to recognize where we are today. And when we do that, we can uncover sort of 3 key principles that can guide our efforts for developing smart tourism. First is, there's no blanket development approach that will work in the region. Destination readiness, as I just showed on the previous slide, it must be considered. Second, when we're considering the readiness of the destination, we need to isolate the key gaps that the destination has and then assist them with overcoming those gaps when they start talking about the projects that they want to develop. And this then leads us to the third point, which is working with the destination. These projects cannot be consultant-led. They cannot be driven by anybody else besides the destination, okay? And so working with that, then we need to understand their aspirations, their readiness, their gaps, and start to put together strong smart tourism projects. And that's exactly what we're doing with these regional support programs for smart tourism development. We start with a large regional facing benchmarking assessment to understand at the national level, what's the readiness of each country to develop smart tourism ecosystems. And this paper is actually going to be published this month or early next month. But after we finish the draft of the paper, we start to convene. So we pulled national level experts and government officials, tourism officials from each of the study countries for an international executive program in Busan, the Republic of Korea, to discuss the findings of the study, but also to start to share and study together global best practices for smart tourism ecosystem development. And from that, we started to draft these draft smart tourism development action plans for the local level. Now, coming back from the Republic of Korea, this kickstarted a fully responsive consultative process where we go into the secondary destinations in each country and we start to refine those draft action plans. Specifically, we start to focus on creating targeted capacity development programs to meet those capacity gaps that they have, as well as meeting their tourism aspirations with pilots. So we design the capacity programs to support the smart tourism pilots. And this takes us to the bottom where we actually start to implement then the pilots and the capacity development in each of the countries. So in summary, our approach is the knowledge products lead to convening. The convening leads to the detailed consulting. The consulting leads to that destination-led responsive process. And that responsiveness leads to destination-led smart tourism development. We're not just writing reports, we're actually using the knowledge in those reports to develop these, to support the development of these grassroots smart tourism initiatives. So what kind of projects are we talking about in the study countries? So the kind of pilot, on screen, you'll see the different pilots that we have in each of the countries that we're currently looking to implement. I know we heard from Mr. Yankee here and some of the work that's taken place previously under other projects in Luang Prabang. We're currently working with the Department of Information, Culture, and Tourism there on a different QR code project. But as you can see, we have QR codes, smart ticketing, smart tourism information center. In the Philippines, in the island garden city of Samal, we're working on digitizing the e-payments for the environmental usage fee. So using smart tourism to actually drive strong environmental outcomes as well. So these are the pilots that we're working on under this project in the 6 cities. Finally, for my last slide, I want to talk about our recommendations for advancing smart tourism in Southeast Asia. So we have 3 recommendations that we want to share. First, of course, with the theme of today's seminar, is facilitating access to smart tourism development finance. This is not a problem only for local destinations to solve. This is not a problem only for national governments to solve. And this is not a problem only for international development agencies to solve. This is really a problem that needs to be solved collaboratively. Specifically, where we are seeing success is where the subnational and the national levels come together and they co-create catalytic opportunities for private sector investment in smart tourism at the local level. There's an excellent example in the Republic of Korea with their Smart Tourism City Development Program, which is a nationally available grant and then a match from the local destination. So the subnational destination can apply for this grant, but in order to apply for it, they need to have a private sector partner co-apply with them. So already from the very inception of the program, from the very early stages of development, it's a public-private partnership to develop the smart tourism. So we highly suggest people looking into this program as a good practice. The second recommendation we have, and I have about a minute left, so I'll go fast. The second recommendation that we have is to make sure that your projects align with development priorities if you're interested in securing international development financing for your project. The good news is digitalization is a key agenda item, and smart tourism, by definition, focuses on digitalization. That's great. But there are other items that are key on the development agenda, such as gender, climate, and others. So we recommend that as you're building these projects, make sure that you're taking into account these other impact areas, because it will assist with raising and securing financing. For example, in Singapore, they've done a great job on focusing on vulnerable areas of their population with digital tools. There's the SMEs Go Digital program, supporting their street vendors, as well as vulnerable people in their population, such as their seniors. And my final comment or my final recommendation is to keep participating in these international and regional knowledge sharing platforms. Typically, we see mostly the national level players, the national level officials participating in these international forums. It's not only good at the local level to attend these forums, to understand and to gain the knowledge that's shared, but to start networking as well, to see the projects that have taken place, network your way to those project officers, network your way to those people, those officials in other countries who've implemented these projects, and ask them for support so you can start to build a network, a very practical network to assist you with developing your smart tourism projects at the local level. So with that, I want to say thank you very much. Again, my name is Trevor Weltman. I'm with Clickable Impact. My contact information is here on screen. You can connect with me anytime over email or on LinkedIn. If you need support developing smart tourism projects or have questions about anything that I've shared, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Trevor. That was a very interesting presentation. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and the work that Clickable Impact is doing in Southeast Asia to contribute to the development of smart tourism. Thanks once again to all presenters. We're now going to move on to the Q&A section of this webinar. We have about 10 to 12 minutes for discussion, and you are strongly encouraged to raise any questions that you have for our speakers. You may use the Q&A feature in the lower ribbon of your screen, or click the raise your hand button if you wish to speak and pose your question directly. Alternatively, you can also send your message to the chat function and we will read out the question for our speakers. If there are any questions, please go ahead. You can also post the question in your local language and it will be simultaneously translated.
Juliana, I'm seeing a question in the Q&A for me about the Vietnam project.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, I don't see it in the.
Yes, there's one
I
question.
see it now.
Okay. Would you like to read it?
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I'm just looking for the exact question that is addressed to you. Vietnam, you mentioned. Question to Mr. Trevor. Could you share the location of smart tourism that you are doing in Vietnam? Can you share more information related to their project?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think it's Hien. So thank you for the question. This particular project that we're doing under this technical assistance is in Ha Tinh province. Specifically, we're going to be working on smart implements for the Nguyen Dzu Memorial Site in Ha Tinh, right there between Nghệ An and Ha Tinh. At Nguyen Du, we're going to be looking to implement QR codes at different points in the memorial to give more information to visitors in multiple languages about what they're actually experiencing and looking at the heritage site. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Trevor, for the response. And there is one question to Mr. Bramuda from Banyuwangi. The question is, are there any technologies employed to support the community-based tourism approach in Banyuwangi? Collaboration between local homestay providers and the government of Banyuwangi. I think the question will be responded to in the local language. So if you'd like to listen to the response in English, please proceed to the English channel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So all destinations in Banyuwangi have used e-ticketing, so we can monitor closely the tickets and also the number of two-wheel vehicles, four-wheel vehicles, and also the number of visitors, be they local and also foreign visitors. And also we will also know the income of each destination in Banyuwangi. For homestays are connected with technology like social media. Yeah, we can use these social media platforms like Traveloka application or Agoda application, or this can be accessed through this application. So visitors, local visitors and foreign visitors can also book through Airbnb, and also they can carry out their transactions there, and then they can do the booking. And when they come to Banyuwangi, they can stay in our local homestays. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that response, Mr. Bramuda. I think there is another question to Mr. Bramuda. Sorry. The question is, can you share the strategy to transform local custom to be multi-events that can attract more tourists?
So smart ticketing for us is important, yeah, because we can measure the number of visitors or tourists to each destination. If we have the data that the number of tourists decreases, then we can do more promotion or events in that area. Yeah? So we hold or we carry out or conduct some activities like sports or cycling activities, cycling competitions. Yeah, it can start and finish at the destination area. So this can be done through the e-ticketing system. Yeah, so the role of the subnational government is really important here. They can provide convenience to tourists. If we have a lack of data, if the data shows that the number of tourists have decreased, then we can support the areas with those activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response. To all participants, do you have any other questions at this point? We still have a few minutes more before we close the session. I think there is another question to Mr. Trevor, I'm going to read out this question, and then there's one other question for Mr. Vacha. So, Trevor, the question is, could you share more about the smart ticketing system in Indonesia? What are the benefits of this smart system for tourism?
Okay, I think there was an excellent similar answer just given. So what I can share is a little bit about maybe what takes place at the local level in several cities, which is a lot of the ticketing that's taking place is just written in a logbook. It's using cash, and then it's using paper tickets. So this is problematic from a data collection standpoint. It's not as sustainable with all the paper tickets. And it's also not a great experience for the visitor. As you look across the region, oftentimes there's an entrance fee, and then inside there might be different experiences, whether they're public-private partnerships with concessions, or they're managed still by the local government, but there needs to be a second ticketing process, okay? So by implementing smart ticketing, you can have a system that maybe somebody only buys one ticket, and then they can scan that QR code when they go to experience the other attraction. So it's a more seamless experience. Maybe you can also start collecting digital payments. So you don't have your staff handling the cash. The money goes directly to the local government. Okay, it's a better experience for the tourist. It's a better experience for the government, faster remittance of the money, and more data. So there's a number of benefits that can come when doing that. In Indonesia in particular, with the project that we're doing in Lake Toba at Toba Caldera Resort, the digital system that they're currently using is more of a retail system. It's not exactly a tourism system, so it's not fully formed for a tourism context. So we're going to be helping them migrate that system into one that's more specific to tourism to handle dynamic tourism pricing, group pricing, maybe multiple concessions under one platform. So that's the kind of project that we're doing, is centralizing and making it more tourism specific. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response. And we have time for one final question, and that's to Mr. Vacha. The question is, how are the Fosi Hill dynamic ticketing and real-time monitoring project, as well as the implementation of QR codes developed in Luang Prabang's pilot project? And the second question is, was funding sourced from all the ASCTF funds or collaborated with private and the local government? So the first question was how the dynamic ticketing and real-time monitoring project, as well as the QR codes, how were those developed in Luang Prabang's pilot project? And then the second question was on the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I understand your questions. Actually, that project is under detailed survey, not implemented yet. So we hope to include in the projects that call urban environmental investment projects that are run by from ADB. We hope to implement that project in the next year. So once we developed, then we can share to you how it works later.
Thank you very much for your response, Mr. Vacha. Excellent. So thanks everyone for your questions, and thanks to all our speakers, presenters, experts for your responses. Once again, if there are any other questions, you are free to type it in the chat box. We will put all these questions together and then send them out in a consolidated mail. We have just 3 more minutes before the end of the session. So we are going to launch one final poll before we close the session. And the third and final poll question is, what key message will you be taking away from today's webinar? Thank you everyone for your participation. It seems like the most pertinent key message is on the critical role of data in advancing smart and sustainable tourism practices. Although I would say that all these options are extremely important, valid, and they're all key messages. So thanks once again for your participation. So we've come to the end now of this webinar today. Thank you everyone, speakers, participants, for coming and joining us today for our fourth and final webinar. We hope that this webinar has given you new ideas and inspires you to delve deeper into these innovative solutions. We would also be happy to facilitate future connections and follow-up discussions if you have any other questions or if you would like to discuss certain topics more in depth. Just as a reminder, all the resources shared during this webinar will be uploaded online along with the recording in 4 different languages. And there will also be a link that will be shared with you via email. We would really appreciate your personal takeaways from today's session. And if you could fill out the form accessible through the QR code, very relevant to what we've discussed today. Or you can click on the link provided in the chat box. You can also click on the link to Pakuru to access today's materials, which will also be uploaded onto that site. Thank you very much for your active participation, and we hope to hear from you via the QR code and the questionnaire. Thank you very much. See you next time, and have a lovely rest of your week.